Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Washington Ethical Society. I'm Karen Schofield Leka. My pronouns are per, pers, short for person, and I'm the officiant today. WES is one community united across time and space, gathering for these Sunday platforms to affirm our values and commit to a better world. So I want to welcome those of you who are here in the hall, those who are watching now on Zoom, and those who are catching the recording later. If you are on Zoom, please check the chat for a welcome and various tips from Paul Baker, today's Zoom chat usher. And if you're here in the hall and would like an assistive listening device, please ask the sound team at the back. A special welcome to our visitors today. We'd love to get to know you better and answer any questions you might have. You can get on our email list by filling out the connection form at tiny.cc/wesconnects or send an email to wes@ethicalsociety.org. And if you're here in person, we invite you to stop by the welcome table after platform or just chat up anybody that has a pre-printed name badge. Folks can share their joys, concerns, or sorrows that they would like to let Casey, the pastoral care team, and or the community know about. Fill out the blue WES Cares form that you can find on the welcome table, and you just simply fold it and either place it in the collection basket or hand it to the greeters, who will pass it directly to KC. There's also a digital form at tiny.cc/wescare. Or there's a QR code on the table if that's easier for you. I'm now going to check the chat to see who is attending remotely this morning. Okay, let's see. So we have good mornings from Laura DeSchulo, Eric Moyer, who says it's a beautiful morning to be alive, Bonnie Johnson, Shane, and Mark Mayer have all said hello in the chat this morning. Good morning to all. It is indeed good to be gathered together today. Our opening words this morning are from Toni Morrison on love and writing. We don't know when a love is too thick. We really don't. That's a big problem. We don't know when to stop. As Baby Sug says, when is it too much and when is it not enough? That is the problem of the human mind and soul. But we have to try that. We have to try that. We have to do that. And not doing it is so poor for the self. It's so poor for the mind. It's so uninteresting to live without that, and it has no risk. There's no risk involved. And that just seems to make life not just livable, but a gallant, gallant event. Today's opening song is Joy Spring by Clifford Brown, performed by Perry Bider. You're on the piano. Each week, we read our statement of purpose as a reminder of our shared values. If you're interested in taking a turn to read the statement of purpose, you can sign up at tiny.cc/readsop. You can read it here in person or make a recording that will be included in a future platform. Today's reader is Joe London, a longtime member and singer in the chorus.
Good morning, everyone. The Washington Ethical Society is a humanistic congregation that affirms the worth of every person. We strive through our relationships to elicit the best in the human spirit. With faith in human goodness, we appreciate each person's unique capacities. We joyfully celebrate together and support each other through life. We nurture a sense of reverence and responsibility for each other and the earth. We warmly invite you to join our community of children and adults as we work for a world where love and justice cross all borders.
Thank you, Joe. As Joe lights our community candle, I invite everyone to join in our candle lighting words. May we kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the light of understanding, and the fire of commitment to build a brighter future for all. And we'll now hear from Sue Smith talking about her commitment to WES.
I moved to this area alone in 1987 after ending my marriage and landing a job in DC. I learned about WES by reading a brochure and was intrigued enough to attend a few platforms. I wasn't raised in a religion, for which I'm mostly grateful, but that also meant I didn't have a ready-made community. I had been involved in various service activities before my move, and I was looking for a group to help me make a difference in the world. I found kindred spirits at WES and joined the Committee to End Hunger and Homelessness. We met regularly at Patty Absher's house and created concert fundraisers and provide funding for organizations dealing with homelessness. We launched the Helping Hands craft sale, which ran for over 10 years and involved almost the entire WES community and raised thousands of dollars for worthy organizations. It was clear that I had found companions to share my journey. When my husband and I were courting, we attended Don's couples group. That gave us skills that we still use today. When I was moved to help refugees fleeing the Middle East, WES members stepped up again, joining me to welcome a family in 2017 and another in 2022. These activities take a village. That's also been said about raising children. One of the joys of having been a member of WES for so long is seeing children born of the couples group grow up to become engaged, articulate adults. Although the pandemic has tested our connections, the reason I stay and support WES is because I still have a faith in this community.
Thanks so much, Sue. Each week, we ring this chime in solidarity with people around the world. Today, I'm particularly mindful of earthquake survivors in Taiwan and the East Coast that got its own rumble this week. As we listen to the chime, let us remember our connection to each other and the world around us. Let us open our hearts to compassion for those who suffer. And let us commit ourselves to the work that calls for our love. I invite you now into a time of meditation. I suggest you get your body into as comfortable a position as possible, some place where your body can feel at ease. You might need some stretching, some wiggling around until you found that good spot. And then breathe. Always breathe. Take in a deep breath and release it. Let your mind slow down. As thoughts emerge, just let them slide on by and keep on breathing. I encourage you to think about some of the different kinds of relationships in your life. They might be familial, whether by blood or by choice. They might be vocational. They might be friendships. Like Sue, they might be the people that you align with to do good in the world. But think most specifically about who is that person you go to be stretched, reflected back, and held. Is that one person that plays all those roles for you? Or do you have different folks in your life? The one who calls you to account, encourages you to be a bigger, better self. The person who reflects back to you your uniqueness and that they see who you really are. The one who holds you when you need to be comforted or to celebrate or just to be. We continue our meditation in silence and in the music that follows. Today's reading is Paul Robeson by Gwendolyn Brooks. That time we all heard it, cool and clear, cutting across the hot grit of the day. The major voice, the adult voice, foregoing rolling river, foregoing tearful tale of bale and barge and other symptoms of an old despond. Warning in music words devout and large that we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. Our platform speaker today is Christian Hayden, a certified ethical culture leader who works with a nonprofit called Women Against Abuse in Philadelphia, facilitating workshops about healthy relationships and teen dating violence prevention. He spent a year in 2015 to 2016 in Ghana, serving with the Humanist Service Corps. He is a graduate of the College of Worcester with a major in urban studies and a minor in Africana studies. He's also a talented photographer and poet. Christian lives in Philadelphia, and we are delighted to have him here with us this morning.
I think Karen stuck the last part in. I try to take that out of bio sometimes. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to see some old friends, some folks that I haven't seen in a long time. I'm trying to remember, so you can catch me in this lie, you can tell me it was a lie later, but I think this might be the first platform I've physically done at another society outside of Philadelphia since the pandemic. I'm really trying, I think it's true. I think it's true in person. So thanks for having me. Today, it was interesting, and I think because of there's sort of a nervous energy and a sort of the idea I've been thinking about this platform, not just for this day, but I've first thought about this a year ago. I was supposed to do a platform in February on love with the Riverdale Yonkers Society for Ethical Culture. All right, so I worked at Riverdale, so that doesn't count for a year, okay? So that I was like, okay, cool. And the topic was love, and I didn't want to talk about love. Had gone through recently a breakup. I didn't want to talk about romantic love, and so I decided I wanted to talk about this concept that had been just sort of spinning in my brain, kind of around revolutionary love. I wanted to think about certain relationships in my life that felt giving and felt whole and lively, and ways that other relationships that I had in my life, such as romantic and family, didn't. And I was trying to figure out, I really wanted to have the platform to use the platform as a opportunity to think about why that was the case. And so y'all are going to suffer with me to figure out why that was the case. But kind of for me, this is a perfect place to talk about this because I look at ethical culture, and excuse my, kind of use of words, but for better or worse, a religion of relationships. That the spiritual tool in ethical culture is connection. Right? So our kind of sort of call to elicit the best in others as to elicit the best in yourself, right, requires connection. It requires bridging this gap between one person and another and doing deep work. And so I felt, so in some ways I feel my sort of struggles in relationships can feel a little bit confusing to me, because I'm like, I've read so much Felix Adler, right? I should know what to do. Funny people in here, I like that. I should know what to do. And I was just I always come back to this metaphor that Felix Adler uses to describe. He says people should be painting these spiritual images of the other, right? It should be like, all right, this person, if you're a lawyer, right, that the spiritual image of the lawyer is the lawyer is using their skills to moderate and then and pursue justice. And if you're a doctor, that spiritual image of that doctor is using their skills to create healthy people as much as they can without concern about access, right? So imagining kind of the best of a person, and then through relationship, that person is able to see that spirit, sort of that reflection in the other person from what they think of, like, this is who I see in you. This is the potential I see in you. And that they become pulled towards it, right? That's how ethical culture is supposed to work. But this quote from Hanif Abdurraqib, who's a wonderful writer and poet who just released a book that is a reflection on basketball and grief and just kind of everything, but through the prism of basketball. He had this quote in an interview. He said, "I think sometimes even in love, even in our desire to love someone in a very big way, we are perhaps rushing to love the imagined person. Sometimes in my rush to love someone, I can see myself rushing past the actual person and trying to love the imagined person, because the imagined person is a little bit easier to love." I was like, oh, that feels pretty accurate. I could say, I could see that at work in some of these difficult relationships. And so I've been ruminating with that quote and thinking, well, like, what is the alternative, right? If Felix Adler has led me astray with these spiritual images, and I've led myself astray with my own love of potential, right? Right? Then what else is there? And so I began to think about some relationships that I have with people, and I said, I want to interview you because I want to ask you some questions, because I have this feeling that certain relationships that aren't tied, there aren't ties because of attraction, they aren't romantic, they aren't ties simply because of proximity or similarity. They aren't ties because of inherited bonds, blood bonds, or decreed bonds. They just are existing and kind of floating and growing on their own. And they all seem to revolve around our common kind of search for liberation. And however that kind of might look for each relationship that I have. So I don't want to overwhelm you with characters, these characters being my friends, right? So I'm just trying to give you just like, I try to keep it low to 4, and I try to keep these interviews around 40 minutes also because I don't want to pay for Zoom. We're not at that part of the pandemic anymore. So I'll kind of give you kind of a brief description of each of these people and my relationship to them, and then kind of share some of the insights from these conversations. So first person is Sierra Verchilo, who I met in Ghana. And we were both outsiders in Ghana, in northern Ghana. Sierra was doing research around indigenous food systems. I was working with a NGO that was working to sort of prevent and also support women who were accused of witchcraft. And so we were both kind of outsiders, but we were also different from each other. Sierra is a white Canadian woman. I'm a Black American man. But something about how we both sought to be in Ghana and what Ghana brought out of us kind of brought us closer together. And so we had a chance meeting and we stayed in touch. And I say over the last, probably since I met her 8 years ago, I've seen Sierra in person maybe 3 times. But we, on social media and on WhatsApp, sometimes have these exchanges about our approach to figuring out how to be in relationship with a place that's far away. Sierra's work still focuses on Ghana, her relationships and her sort of almost drive to direct resources to support the protection of indigenous recipes, indigenous foods, right? It's kept her in constant communication. Me, I've sought to constantly figure out how do I maintain a relationship with Ghana outside of the non-governmental NGO sort of industrial complex, right? And so with a project that I was starting, I sort of raised money for cameras 2 years ago, and my interest in photography and documentary, and my connection with many sort of young people in Ghana, I sort of came up, we sort of worked to this idea of what would it be like to support Ghanaian photographers, videographers in pursuing the things that they wanted to do and tell their own stories, right? So to take, sort of out of the center of me doing the work or doing the photography, doing the things, but actually giving folks the tools to tell their own stories. And I feel like Sierra was the perfect complement to kind of explore the possibilities of this work, because I felt it was very similar to what she was doing, trying to center the voice of the folks who knew about the place they were in, and maintain those and make those knowledge systems sustainable. And then there's Crescent, which I don't know if this is true for everyone, but when you're in your early 20s and you move to a new place and you walk by a really attractive person, you tend to have a crush on, or you might develop a little crush. And if you live in Philadelphia and there are porches and you say hello, right? That's how me and Crescent's relationship started. Person, me interested, Crescent not so much. Cool. We continued. But over the years, we developed a correspondence and actual relationship where, divorced from my original, like, oh, wonderful person, adorable person, to like, oh, this is a person I can think with and exchange with. Crescent is a philosopher, artist, dreamer, amazing food critic. And our relationship I remember our relationship really developed when I was in the midst of doing leadership training and really struggling to articulate how I thought some of the work that I had done in Africana studies, or the people I had read, how Toni Morrison, how Chinua Achebe, all these different people were articulating, these Black authors were articulating humanist ideas, but struggling for a way to bridge that gap between the sort of traditional Western philosophers I was assigned. So I said, am I weird here for thinking in Sula, there's some existentialism going on, right? Or in Beloved, that this seems like a kind of fundamental humanist text about what does one do with freedom? And the question of how to love, right? After being essentially not allowed to love. So Crescent was the person who, in generosity, helped me answer these questions and explore. Chris Rogers is what I would call an artist in community, a community artist. And I used to say this, and I was like, I think I feel like a community artist. People are like, what are you talking about? And what Chris does really well is bring people together for the purposes of expanding, exploring community, and learning and engaging in topics around social justice. And Chris and I have worked together as I have tried to expand my documentary practice from events to his wedding to now his attempt to preserve the house of Henry Ossawa Tanner. Henry Ossawa Tanner was one of the first Black master painter, and he lived in Philadelphia, and his house is in kind of disrepair, and Chris is a part of this effort to rebuild the house and make it a kind of community space. The first place Chris did that work, or that I came to know Chris when I came to know he was doing this work, was at the Paul Robeson house, which Paul Robeson also lived in Philadelphia as he was ending towards the end of his life. And that space was very similar, where the house was in disrepair and they were trying to buy the mortgage, and then they had built this kind of community center. And I felt like it was the other pillar to ethical culture for me. It was the place where I got to really explore my Pan-Africanism, my connection to West Philadelphia, right? And alongside with the Philadelphia Ethical Society, where I got to explore my humanism. And then there's Amber Rose Johnson, /person. And Amber Rose is in some way still my kettlebell coach, but not just my kettlebell coach exercise, weightlifting. So for me, kettlebells were this, how do I say, very challenging. I hated them, right? It was a very challenging way to lift weights. I was used to working out in a certain kind of very prescribed way. You lift a heavy weight 5 times and you put it down, and then you try to do that 4 more times. That was my whole approach to weightlifting. With kettlebells, there's timed limits and different moves in succession, and you need good conditioning. And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. But in that essence, it was also that invitation to try something new, to fail, and in trusting her guidance, her approach, it kind of gave me a new way of being able to treat my body well. And for that, I'm just in debt. But her as a person, her approach to fitness is much aligned with her approach to thought and her approach to care, which is just supreme intention, supreme thoughtfulness. And these are the folks that I kind of went to say, what does revolutionary love mean to you? And they gave kind of these very different answers, right? So I was expecting kind of, maybe a reflection of maybe what I thought, which is that love in a revolutionary sense centers liberation, that folks are kind of, the work that they're doing binds them and offers them space to grow in a way that's different than other kinds of relationships. But folks, they went further, right? Crescent said to me, revolutionary love is about reconciling difference, or a rejection of love that is about completion or reflection. Thinking of the other as a radically different person, foreign, while at the same time close and like me, right? The other becomes not a threat, but an acceptance of how we are also alike, and leads us to be caretakers of another's selfhood, capacity, and worth. And so what I gathered from that, this kind of love pushes us to build our capacity, not to assume knowledge, but to focus on the skill of listening to gain it, listening to others, seeing the other. Sierra, it's like revolutionary love are relationships that are, we're listening, so there's some threads, right? Listening closely, truly what that person wants and needs without the constraints that they are working under or working towards, the liberation of those constraints, so that they are more in line with the goals and the virtues that they want to see. When you're able to be loved in this revolutionary way, free from these norms, it's empowering. It frees up what is possible. And Chris goes, revolutionary love is that love that makes us aware of ourselves and our connection to one another in ways that feel manageable but stretchy. It starts with the self, your own revolutionary practice, which is formed by the people in your life and the cultural context, the cultural text that you're engaging with, which would hopefully help you grow in the capacity to relate to others. And Amber Rose goes, revolutionary love is a moving horizon. It is ever changing. You cannot arrive there. It is a love that wants to escape all parts of harm and enclosure. Love and revolution also can't be separated. They are like intimately connected. I don't know what revolution is without love, and I don't know what love is without revolution. It's like the pursuit of freedom, and the love is the action part behind it. She likened it to praxis, where praxis being thought and action together, or action that is working out the thought. So similar. So in these kind of like conversations were actually really helpful for me because one, I got to hear these kind of different ways that I had impacted these people that I care about. Sierra says I helped her come up with her handle for Instagram, which is in a voice message where I mentioned the importance of finding life-giving work. And she's like, oh, for my brand, I'm gonna call it food-giving life, right? And so that was something I never knew. And I think about Crescent. It was like Crescent offers this really generous thing, and she says, in this way that, we have become close, in some ways closer than, with her partner, and vice versa for me, in that we are traversing over this difference, and it's sort of almost like feels like an intentional feminist context, like a feminist approach. It's a reciprocity of care. And so even there's times when we struggle with each other, and because when I was having a difficult moment 2 years ago, I had just come back from Ghana, I was stressed, I wasn't working, I was abroad, so I had to pay back the things I owed while I was abroad. And I couldn't figure that out. I was like, Crescent had lost someone, I couldn't be in touch, and we kind of had a falling out over that. And I realized that in a way, the accountability that showed me that my difficulty in showing up was not about whether I could, financially give or whether I could be in presence, but whether I was able to share, to continue that correspondence, because that was our expectation for each other. So as we've kind of mended that bridge, we've continued that correspondence. So I want to invite you all to think about someone that has shifted you, someone that makes you feel cared for, feel heard, right? And feel expansive. One of the things I liken to these relationships are, I think of them like gardens, where I throw seeds without any understanding of where they might grow. And over time, if I water, come back, water, care, that something begins to take root. I don't know what exactly that will be. I don't know how it will go. There are no rows. There are no planned visions of what that will look like. But there's a faith that something will happen. And that continuation of that care makes it so. So I want to invite you to think about that person that feels like their relationship feels like a garden. And maybe some images that y'all have together. And you're gonna receive a poem, because I think important part of when I come to the platform is that we have a deliverable. So that's promise. Not something you want to hear on a Sunday morning. But I want to invite you for an exercise. So it is April, which could mean a lot of things. It is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, right? Having conversations around consent. But it is also the month of poetry. And I observe this in different ways. If you're my Facebook friend, sometimes you get flooded with daily poems. It's been a long time since that happened, but it happened. And, you know, I also like to try to have exercises or sharing of poems within community. Because, yeah, sometimes we don't get enough time to sit with some poems. So on the paper, some poems about friendship. Should go through those poems, read them, take them in, think about that person you were thinking about. And I want you to choose some favorite lines that are like your relationship, that harken to that relationship. And I want you to put those lines together. So you can choose a word, you can choose a part of a line from each of the poems. And just at that blank piece of paper, collect those lines together and see what comes out. Would it help if I read? Okay. So, um, thank you for bearing me. And I'm going to share, and I'm going to say, because it's true, it's dedicated to Zia, who we met at the Philadelphia Ethical Society, I don't know, 10 years ago? Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Walking with you into acceptable society. And now we have a choice: repair a world or build a new one inside our bodies, our endless longings, wild until we are free. Evening shall not go out, but not all of us. Mercy or nothing is enough. Keep on moving till we found we. I want you happy. I want you warm. Thank y'all. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Christian. I have rarely seen a group so intent and silent at WES. It was awesome. Shortly, we will have our reflection period where a few folks will have a chance to share kind of what came up with you, what resonated for you at this platform, maybe share some of the things that you noted during the exercise. And you can distill your thoughts to a single idea that you can share in 1 to 2 minutes while we are listening to the music.
In retrospect, I should have invited Tom Bishop to see if he was available to join me on this next song. It's a bossa nova, and you need good rhythm for that. So, in Tom's absence, I will do what I can on the piano, but you're welcome to help provide some rhythm with me. Basic rhythm would just be. And if you feel like filling it in more, but whatever.
So this is the time when we add our own voices to the morning, sharing our reflections on the platform or what resonated with us. For online participants, I invite you to share in the Zoom chat or in the comments if you are catching the recording later. If you're here in person, we're going to continue our experiments with a conversation corner up front here for folks who would like to share about the platform in greater depth. Can I see a show of hands of folks who might decide that they'd like to gather up in the front corner this morning? Anybody? Anybody? Joe? Good. All right. Maybe Joe will be there and some folks will join you. You might have your thoughts stimulated by what you hear shortly in the response period. We will, for those who'd like to offer a brief 1 to 2 minute response, I'm going to bring the microphone around. We'll have just about 10 minutes or so please try and keep your comments brief so more folks can share. And if you've spoken in recent weeks, maybe hold back and leave that space for others. So if you can raise your hand, I'll bring the mic to you. Please turn and face the camera at the back so our Zoom friends can see who's speaking. And you can begin by saying your name and your pronouns, and then share your single idea. So I'm going to give a moment, let people collect their single pithy thought.
I'm Joe London, and my pronouns are she, her. Christian, I'd just like to say I admire how you created your own ethical manifold. Because that's what you did. You spoke to different people and tried to find out from them what they thought, eliciting their best, so that they could elicit yours by reflecting to you.
Thanks, Joe.
Hi, I'm going to face Christian too. I'm John, he, him. Oh, I love this. What I wanted to say builds on what Joe said. I felt you did something like that right in here. You invited us to make poetry with you. I loved seeing you here again today. I still remember when you spoke after your trip to Ghana, so probably 2016 or 2017. And I attended a platform virtually, right? But at Riverdale Yonkers, you talked about music. So I really appreciate how very personal and human you were with us. I really feel you're just really flowing in our space, what you wanted to say this morning. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonia. My pronouns are she and her. One of the things that I think is a value of being a member of the Ethical Society is that at least I feel like I have an obligation to figure out how to get along with all of the people who are members of the Ethical Society. And I was thinking about that with what you were saying at the beginning, Christian. And I was really struck by this line that you also called out in the poem, "Mercy or nothing is enough." I think we need to give each other mercy.
Peter, he, his, him. So on the subject of love, which is something that I think about a certain amount, there are a lot of different terms for different kinds of love. And this is usually an extremely important issue to distinguish the different types of love, because there are those who think that some types of love are not very useful. And whereas I think that all types of love are very important. And so in a religious setting, in a congregational setting, the type of love that has the worst name is agape, is agape love, okay? And I hate this term because I don't think anyone knows what it actually means. And it doesn't speak to me as a term as to what it's trying to refer to. However, one of the things you pointed out as you're talking is you talked about liberation as being very important relative to love. And I'm not used to thinking in those terms, but I thought it was a great point.
Hi, Rajesh here. Two comments, if I may. The first is that it's really, I was very struck by what you said about how much easier it is to relate to an imagined other as opposed to a real other who's right in front of you. And I just wanted to say that I'd like to highlight the other part of that, which is how easy it is to hate the other when it is much more tough to relate to that person. It's the flip side of it. So that's one. The poetry exercise I really appreciated because I've been writing a memoir for 2 years and went through a hiatus of 1 year, and recently came to a point of converting one of the chapters into a story. And the story doesn't show me up in good light, okay? So I've been sitting with this acute discomfort of who's going to read this, and if it does ever get published, are they going to judge me and find me wanting? And so the exercise that you asked us to do about thinking of a person who's always been a context of great growth for oneself reminded me about this person in my life who is incredibly accepting, always challenges me to do more than I'm doing right now. And I said to myself, oh, okay, so if she reads the story, it's going to be fabulous. And it's been releasing because I was stuck in my mind about trying to tell that story anonymously, and I no longer want to do that. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, so it can be our last comment.
I'm Laura, she, her. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love all of what you said and opening my head to a different way of looking at liberation. So the quote part that I got included, my friends, bloom how you must, wild until we are free, which reminded me of an Aeneas Nin quote, which I hope some of you might know, and is very dear to me and is on the wall of one of the yoga studios I go to. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk to blossom. And that, to me, is liberation, opening ourselves up to whatever is and can be. So thanks.
Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go now. Bear with me a moment. We'll go check to see what's up in the chat. I have to wait for technology to catch up, so bear with me 1 second. So first off, so Shane and their partner, this was their first time attending WES. They're remote. They hope to come in person soon. So yay, well, welcome to you as newcomers. And let's see, what else? So, and Shane is clap, 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 which is awesome. And some other people have many hearts. Maceo Thomas says, thank you, Christian, for sharing your message that gets us deep into understanding life. As I read those 4 poems, I imagine different people from different parts of my life that have been reflected back on me and how I can reconnect with the energy that love gave me in a way that works now, today, April 2024. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Some more clapping to Christian. And Sue, yes, Sue, if you check the chat, there's a link to the poems that was there for folks to access during the time. Excellent. Maceo. So great. So thank you all who shared your thoughts and feelings this morning. And just as we do for sharing our ideas, we also share our resources with our community. And here at WES, we split all undesignated gifts in the Sunday collection between our operating budget and a fund dedicated to justice and compassion. In keeping with our social justice theme this month of bodily autonomy, our Share the Plate recipient for April will be WES's Our Whole Lives program, or OWL. OWL is a comprehensive lifespan sexuality education curricula developed jointly by the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ for use in both secular settings and faith communities. Through engaging interactive workshops and activities, OWL helps participants make informed and responsible decisions about their relationships, sexual health, and behavior. With a holistic approach, OWL provides accurate, developmentally appropriate information about a whole range of topics, including relationships, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, sexual health, and cultural influences on sexuality. 7 curricula speak to participants' needs by age group, from kindergarten through to senior adults. Our Whole Lives is grounded in values of self-worth, sexual health, responsibility, and justice and inclusivity. OWL recognizes and respects the diversity of participants with respect to biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, and disability status, in addition to cultural and racial background. The activities and language used throughout the program have been carefully chosen to be as inclusive as possible of this human diversity. For the coming SEEK year, we want to run elementary, middle, and high school courses with 4 teachers in each cohort. Teachers must undergo training and be certified, and that costs $250 per person. So your contributions today will swell the ranks of our certified OWL teachers. Having done that, it is a significant commitment, but is awesome work. I highly recommend it. So let's all take a moment to prepare to respond to the invitation to generosity as we are able. To donate online through the Breeze system, go to tiny.cc/wesgives or click on Give on our website, ethicalsociety.org. To donate in person today, just place cash or check in the basket at the back of the hall on your way out, which is also where you can return your pens on your way out. And you can always send a check by mail. Thank you for your generosity. We will now receive your gifts and the gift of music.
This song is offered with tongue-in-cheek in support of both our OWL program and the Pledge campaign.
A different kind of ethical manifold, yes, indeed. Thank you so much to the many people who helped create this morning's time together. Today's platform speaker, Christian Hayden, musician Perry Bider, and Perry will be joined by Karen Storms and Judy Myers for the closing song in just a bit. Thanks to senior leader Casey Slack and staff members Indara Miles, Robin Kravitz, and Maceo Thomas. And of course, our platform production volunteers, the tech team, slide artists, Zoom chat usher, and in-person greeters. You'll see all of their names on the closing slide, and we would love to have you join those groups, so chat with somebody about. Training is available, not a hard thing to do. I want to mention a few things upcoming in the life of our community. So our West Sunday Cafe is going strong, and the goal is that the cafe will be financially self-sustaining and over time even be able to contribute back to West. So the cafe needs its funds up front to get better pricing on larger quantities of coffee and shelf-stable milk, because a case of coffee costs almost $100. So please contribute as generously as you can to our coffee coffers and help get our operations off the coffee ground. Cash is great in the tip jars. You can especially tip the person who wrote that very charming message. Or you can donate online at tiny.cc/westcoffee or enjoy the fine QR code that you'll find on the signage at the table. A reminder to all to sign up for Breeze, which is Wes's new data system. That's how you can access the member directory, see a schedule of upcoming events, and make a contribution. Instructions were emailed to all members, but if you need assistance in getting set up, stop by the help desk in the lobby after platform, and I'll be pleased to get you going. It is truly a breeze. Yes. It's the same phone number still. The number for making a contribution by text. Yes, that's correct. Thank you for asking, Joe. That indeed. So speaking of contributions, after our rousing, successful first-time pledge brunch, we need a rousing response of your pledge commitment to WES. If you haven't sent in your pledge yet, now is the time, so the board and staff can create a budget for next fiscal year. And thanks to all who have really been stepping up and increasing your pledges. It means a lot to all of us. Next Sunday, West senior leader Casey Slack will speak on independence and interdependence with music from Jeffrey Taggart and friends. Next Sunday, the 14th, after platform for West visitors and friends, will be offering a Path to Membership session for anyone who's interested in joining or simply learning more about what it means to be a member of this congregation. We'll explore West and our history, the national organizations we're affiliated with, how West governs itself, and what exactly membership means. If you're unable to attend next week but still interested in learning more about membership, please let us know. And now I invite Abby Dakin to give us a report from the board.
Hi, Abby Dakin, she, her. I'm the facilitator on the board this year, and we do a monthly update for members, or at least that's our intention, about what's going on the board. So many of you know that we've been dealing with an issue where we did not have a good financial picture for a variety of reasons. We're now getting good financial reports, getting a handle on what happened last year and where we are this year. So as Casey mentioned in the pledge brunch, we're not as far in the hole as we feared, fortunately, and we do have money in the bank to pay our bills. The financial reports are available to members on the members only section of the website. However, please be cautious. One of the many things we did was we switched financial systems from the one we have used for many years, which unfortunately is no longer being supported, and there was no support. It was unusable because the company was going out of business. And those of you who've been part of software transitions know that there are a lot of details to nail down. So we are patiently working through those details. And the financial reports we expect will improve in quality over time. So you can look at them, but do take them with a grain of salt. Also, thank you to members who attended the board town hall on April 1st. We had quite a bit of discussion about engaging visitors and ideas for interest in website updates, and we loved hearing all those ideas. We'd love to have people step up to make some of them reality. And feel free to reach out to us anytime at email to board@ethicalsociety.org, or of course you can catch us at WES. There are a couple of other board members here today. Can you raise your hands for a sec? So any of us would be happy to chat. And then also thanks to the volunteers who have stepped up to man the committees that make WES run smoothly. There is still so much interesting work to do and people to get to know, and that includes running for the board next year. There are 4 of 7 slots that are open. And if you're interested, you can speak to any of the LLDC members. Those of you who are here, could you raise your hands? So Judy Myers, Kate Lang, Alex Abbott, who is not here, and Trang Duong, who is not here. So any of those folks you can speak to or email about board service. And then I'm going to take this minute as the slide artist to say that here's a little game for those of you who enjoy games. The slides that don't change from week to week, so our theme is mutuality. So the slides that don't change from week to week this month, those are all images of mutualistic symbiosis in nature. So you can try to figure out what they're showing, and I'll be happy to produce a little answer key for later weeks.
Thanks, Abby, for the update and some very good news amidst it. That's it for our announcements today. As always, you can find information about opportunities to connect in the weekly news and notes email that comes out on Thursdays and on the calendar page of WES's website, ethicalsociety.org, or Inside Breeze. Again, if you're new to our community, please introduce yourself in person or via the connection form at tiny.cc/wesconnects or an email to wes@ethicalsociety.org. At the conclusion of platform, please join us for social hour, either here or on Zoom at tiny.cc/wescoffeehour. And I now invite you to join in our closing sing-along and our closing words.
So as Karen and Judy are joining me up here, I will mention, we haven't done this song for a few years. Some of you will know it, some of you won't. If you don't, once again, you're invited to be the rhythm section. And the good news is it's pretty much the same beat as before. Ba, 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 ba. There you go.
Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you.
And it looks like it might be a long night,
but I ain't going nowhere.
and I know it's gonna be a hard fight,
But I will stay right here. I will shine a light in the darkest hour. I will face the man in the tallest tower. Well, it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. I will work,
I will fight,
I will strive in the name of love. I will speak I will shout, I will sing it to the skies above. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. And I know it might be a long time until the last one of us is freed. But I will hold on tight, stay by your side. I will be with you for this whole damn ride. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you. I will walk, I will climb, shine my light the whole night through. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you.
And now for our closing words. Let us go into the week ahead with compassion, understanding, and commitment to nurture our communities and defend each person's self-determination. Is that not what it says on the slide? Thought we fixed that. So sorry. We can also do what it says up there. There we go. Okay, so let us go into the week ahead with compassion, understanding, and commitment to nurture our communities and defend each person's self-determination. Thank you all for joining today's platform in person and remotely. We look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a great week.
Great. For those of you who, do we